half of your life will probably spent in a hormonal transition, and this is why I need you to know that the number one predictor of your longevity is your muscle mass and heart rate variability. But your muscle mass matters, and because you're going to be living a long time with hormonal shifts, I need you to know that your hormones affect your muscles, specifically your estrogen. Now take a look. So as you become more estrogen deficient or testosterone deficient, the role of exercise in this period of life where your hormones grow matters, because if you don't fight the fact that your hormones are going down, you are going to get sarcopenia. And sarcopenia is muscle loss, and it now has an ICD-10 code. And I want you to know what you do matters. So follow along with me in this article from 2022. A decline in estrogen levels during menopause is associated with a loss of muscle mass and function and can accelerate sarcopenia. However, the growing number of postmenopausal women, due to the increase in life expectancy, the effects of estrogen on skeletal muscle is not completely understood, because nobody really researched women because, well, nobody cared. They thought women weren't that different from men, but we are. This article reviews the relationship between the estrogen deficiency and muscle mass, and including the other things that can make you have sarcopenia, including mitochondria dysfunction, the effects of exercise on estrogen deficiency, the effects of skeletal muscle impairment, and in particular, mitochondrial dysfunction induced by estrogen deficiency accelerates sarcopenia. If you remember from the PPOs in your health class, that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So your estrogen affects your energy, it affects your muscles, it affects how you utilize glucose, it affects your motivation, it affects everything. And that's why I want you to know about this. It is well known that exercise training is essential for health, including for the improvement of sarcopenia. So I want you to make muscles, and let's follow along and see what else it says. So estrogen is known to play a critical role in human physiology, including glucose and lipid metabolism, bone metabolism, reproductive function, and neurological functions. So I want you to know estrogen is important for all your tissues. And it is well accepted that the decline in circulating estrogen levels or estrogen deficiency is associated with central obesity, aka visceral fat, the tire that's on your stomach, cardiovascular disease, which is the number one killer of women, and type 2 diabetes and osteoporosis, because your estrogen tells your bone how to remodel. So estrogen tells your bone how to remodel and how your muscles should grow. And sarcopenia is defined as the loss of muscle mass, muscle strength, and physical performance, which, if you don't have enough muscles, you become frail, which can lead to falls, which means you lose your independence. And that's the other thing that hurts us in life. So cardiovascular disease and osteoporosis and frailty is really what hurts you. So this is super important for your longevity. I don't want you to lose your independence because you lost muscle mass. Because you lost muscle mass, you lost your ability to not fall, and then you can't get back up from the floor. Your muscle loss, sarcopenia, begins at age 30. I don't tell you guys that a lot because I don't want you to freak out on me, but it's true. And muscle mass decrease approximately 2 to 7% every 10 years, which accelerates after the age of 60 or in the first 5 years of postmenopause. So as you age, you are losing estrogen. And when you become postmenopausal, the estrogen levels are dropping really fast, and they are like rock bottom. The first 5 years are the most important for the postmenopausal woman to save her bone and muscle. And if you aren't trying to save it, then it's going to be very accelerated with your muscle and bone loss those first 5 years. And this is when you get osteoporosis, osteopenia, sarcopenia. And after menopause, your muscle mass declines by 0.6% per year. Now, I know you know that generally speaking, you're losing 1% of muscle mass each year, but it goes even faster in the first 5 years. These effects, because you're losing estrogen, can be mediated through estrogen receptors, which is present in all cell types. Estrogen receptors mean, hey, if you give me estrogen, like HRT, otherwise known as menopause hormone therapy, I can be better. And it can help you with your mitochondria dysfunction. It can help with your muscle growth. So your sarcopenia, your muscle loss, can lead to being frail, falling. It can lead to osteoporosis. It can lead to metabolic syndrome because your muscles help you gobble up that glucose and helps you fight off obesity and diabetes. So your muscles are also an endocrine organ. But if you don't have muscles, then you have a host of other problems. Now, if we get down to the nitty-gritty, sarcopenia might be caused by several mechanisms such as mitochondrial dysfunction, activation of inflammation, inadequate nutrition, loss of satellite cells, and hormonal changes. So if you haven't got it yet, estrogen affects your skeletal muscle, and estrogen deficiency can affect physiological functions and cause osteoporosis and lipid abnormalities. So your cholesterol is going to go up as your estrogen goes down. Your bone density is going to go down as your estrogen goes down because it changes how everything remodels. And the better your hormones are, the healthier you are, the better muscle and bone you can build. And the reason having healthy levels of estrogen to circulate is that it can bind to receptors. Estrogen has 3 receptors that mediate its effects. So it's not enough just to have the estrogen, it has to also bind, and does your body utilize it? There are 2 different forms of estrogen receptors, the estrogen receptor that's the alpha and beta, and nuclear estrogen receptors that are members of the family of the ligand-activated transcription factors. And so you know there are receptors everywhere in your body. Now, with the muscle, there is growing evidence that suggests that the estrogen receptors are present in skeletal muscle and in the nuclei of muscle fibers in the form of the estrogen receptors alpha and beta, and therefore it is not surprising that estrogen affects mitochondria in the skeletal muscle. Moreover, several studies have shown that estrogen replacement therapy attenuates age-related decline in muscle mass and size in postmenopausal women. In addition, a decrease in muscle strength is also an important indicator of sarcopenia, which results from a loss of estrogen. So we know that we can make your muscle better by resistance training and hormones such as estrogen or testosterone if you are deficient. And yes, it is a personal conversation, but I want you to know that your hormones do affect your muscles. So if you do or don't want to do HRT, no matter what, physical exercise, including aerobic, which is probably zone 2, such as walking, and resistance exercise training, such as weightlifting and resistance bands, is recommended as a non-pharmacological intervention for menopause treatment. Numerous human and rodent studies have demonstrated the benefits of exercise training on estrogen deficiency-induced skeletal muscle impairments. So we have to work harder to build the muscles. Now, with this being said, what it really means is, okay, estrogen helps us grow muscle, but because you're losing it, if you up your weightlifting and try harder and lift harder, you can basically make up for the fact that we're running behind, but you have to work harder just to be normal. And so, but I still want you to do the weightlifting. I just need you to know you have to do the weightlifting. It's non-negotiable. So resistance training will help you gain strength and help with body recomposition. And it doesn't matter how old you are. Your muscles basically don't know how old you are. Your tendons and ligaments and fascia? Yes, it does. But it's never too late to start. Resistance training can be weightlifting. It can be bands. And it will make you feel better. When I say weightlifting, you might not be comfortable moving your body at first. You can learn the movements. It doesn't mean you start immediately being like heavy lifting, but you do need to challenge your body to make up for that deficit that's going to come with time. So in conclusion, estrogen deficiency accelerates age-related sarcopenia. Resistance training is an important strategy for menopausal women to decrease sarcopenia. Further studies are needed for optimal protocols, but the moral of the story is, if you can lift heavier, lift heavier. And how heavy? I want you to be tired. I want you to break down your muscles. But I also don't want you to be working hard every single day. You also have to rest and have recovery because estrogen helps you with inflammation. So I need you to walk, I need you to lift, I need you to recover, and I need you to repeat.